Thank you. No, let's talk about it now.
Thank you, Vice President Stonewall, and thank you all so much for such a warm welcome. This applause is really for all of you, because NLC is all about our members. Your dedication to service to your communities is what brought you here today. And on behalf of the National League of Cities officers and board of directors, thank you. Together, we are making America's cities strong. I want to thank Mayor Bill Peduto and the amazing staff at the City of Pittsburgh. They worked tirelessly to make the very first City Summit a success. Don't you agree? Let's give them a big round of applause. I also want to thank our CEO of our organization, Clarence Anthony, and the NLC staff. They put on a great conference, didn't they? You agree? I've known Clarence and many of the NLC staff for years, and I can tell you, they are truly dedicated to your success and to the success of America's cities. I now like to take a moment to recognize my colleagues from Cleveland. I'd like to recognize my mayor, Frank Jackson, Council President Kevin Kelly, and my fellow council members in the city of Cleveland, my colleagues from the mayor's administration, and of course, my faithful assistant, Blanca Salva. Would you all please rise and give them a nice, warm appreciation. Come on, stand, guys. Cleveland's in the house. And finally, but most importantly, I'd like to thank my family, my wife Michelle, and my son Matt, for their love and support throughout my public service career. Michelle, you've been by my side for 32 years. When we first met, when she saw me breakdancing, some of you might even saw some of that last night, when I started a group called Project 5. I may not have all the moves I used to have, but you're still by my side, Michelle. I love you. You're my best friend.
Oh, sorry, that's what you're.
Michelle has answered a call for service by educating the next generation of America's youth. I love you and thank you for what you do for our children back home in Cleveland. I also want to thank our son Matt, who could not join us today in Pittsburgh because he was called to duty with the Ohio Army National Guard. Matt. Matt and I share more than the same name. Matt has heard the call to serve. He's a proud graduate of Kent State University and a 5-year member of the Ohio National Guard. And upon graduating, Matt entered into the police academy. And this year, he took the oath to become an officer in the Cleveland Police Department. I am so proud that he will serve and protect the residents of our great city. He is exactly the type of person we need in community policing today. I'd also like to recognize 2 of my sisters who are with me today. My sister Beth, my sister Madeline. Thank you for being here. I could not have made it this far without your love and support. You know, it's tough growing up in a big family, right? It's like I had 5 moms. Like my son, every local official in this room has heard and answered a call to service. You have assumed the weight and responsibility of leadership, and your communities depend on you. They depend on you to do the job and get things done. When they've been shortchanged by their state and federal leaders who care more about politics than promises, they depend on you to grow your economies, provide jobs, and maintain the infrastructure that supports everything from roads to broadband. And they depend on you to build strong and healthy communities where everyone has opportunities to achieve success. You know, I'm honored that you have given me this opportunity to lead the National League of Cities in 2017. And I want you to know that over the next 12 months, you can depend on me. You can depend on me to bring forward the great work being done in your cities as we strive to build a better future. I will work to create federal and local partnerships, and I will fight hard for cities and the priorities they need. We are at a historic point in time. This presidential campaign was grueling and divisive. It seems like we barely discussed the issues in between crude remarks, insults, and distractions. In this election, less than 6 out of every 10 U.S. adults elected the 45th U.S. president, the most powerful person on the planet. That's 1.5 million fewer voters than in 2012. And only about 28% of eligible voters voted in our primary. We need to get people engaged. Since 1980, the turnout in presidential general elections has never surpassed 60%. And in 2012, it was just 53%. Woody Allen once said, 80% of success is just showing up. And by that measure of voting participation success, we have a long way to go. I know something about the power of one vote. In 1990, my brother-in-law, Lee Fisher, who's here with me today, was elected Ohio Attorney General in the closest statewide election in Ohio history. His margin is easy to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,234 votes out of 3.4 million votes cast. Less than 1 vote per precinct, earning Lee the nickname Landslide Lee. Love you, Lee. Thank you. Lee Fisher knew more about hanging chads long before Al Gore. Lee, you've been a role model, a mentor to me ever since the day we lost Dad. And so thank you, I love you. And on the local level, we've stayed focused. And we stayed focused on the issues that matter. NLC this year formed the bipartisan presidential election task force, co-chaired by my friends, Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson of Gary, Indiana. Where are you at, Karen? Come on. And Betsy Price of Fort Worth, Texas. We launched our City Leads 2016 campaign, which focused on 3 priorities: public safety, infrastructure, and the economy. You know, I've always found that NLC is a great place to exchange ideals and to help us build better cities for our future. My vision is a future where communities are investing. All of the innovations is happening in cities. We are the learning, living laboratory. And I want to thank you who have embraced this back home in your cities. We need a future where our residents and the police have a relationship that is built on trust and community. Where being black in America doesn't mean you are 3 times more likely to have your car searched in a traffic stop, or 6 times more likely to be arrested. A future where the color of your skin doesn't predetermine your life's outcomes, your access to education, your earning potential, or your chance at fair treatment from our institutions and policies. We must build a future where every one of us has economic mobility and opportunity. And we must be intentional about promoting equity in all of our policies and projects. And that work begins right here in Pittsburgh. So I am charging all of our committees and councils to make economic mobility and opportunity a pillar that supports our work in America's cities. You know, the future belongs to the cities and towns who can help their residents achieve their dreams, where everyone can participate and succeed and are invested in the future. When we talk about the future, it's important to understand where we come from. So I want to tell you a little bit about my past. I grew up in the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood on the Lower West Side of Cleveland. From its founding, Detroit Shoreway was a neighborhood that was open to immigrants and minorities who were seeking economic opportunity. The neighborhood first attracted German and Irish immigrants. And as the city was rapidly expanding as a manufacturing center for people who were coming here for jobs, that community was growing. And my grandparents immigrated from Italy in the early 1900s and settled in the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood. It's a tight-knit community. My dad, Michael J. Thone. He grew up across the street from my mother. And before they got married, my dad left to go serve in World War II. And like many Italian Catholic families, they had a lot of kids. I had 8 brothers and sisters, and with a family that large, you really understand equity. In fact, my mother used to tell me, I love all my children. I just need to love some a little more than others. Right, Beth? My parents started a small business, the Zone Food Market. And 7 years later, they started a travel agency. By the time I was born, my father was already serving on Cleveland City Council. He worked hand in hand with my mother for more than 14 years, serving the members of my community. A community that throughout the 1960s and 70s was growing increasingly diverse. And he also became active in the National League of Cities. He became active in NLC and getting involved and going to conferences like this one today. My dad suffered a fatal heart attack in 1974 when he was just 54 years old. My mother was suddenly confronted with the weight of losing a partner and a provider and raising a large family on her own. Her strength and resolve during that period continues to inspire me today. My brothers and sisters and I knew that she was tough and that she was in a unique position to continue the work that she and my father had done to build a stronger community. After my dad's death, the council president came over to our house and he urged my mother to finish out my dad's term. She answered the call to service and went on to win the next 3 elections and gained a remarkable amount of influence in the city hall. My mother was the first Italian-American woman to serve on the council and became the first woman to serve as the council majority whip. She also became involved with NLC. My mother was a remarkable woman. After her service on the council, she continued helping those in our community with the most need, including people suffering from HIV and AIDS. She was strong during tough times, and she turned tragedy into a call for action. She embodied the type of character that truly makes a great leader. My parents' service and commitment to building a better future for our community is what motivated me to run for their former seat on the council. As you can tell, City Council is kind of in the Zone DNA. But I'm not done yet. My cousin Jozo, who's here with his wife Joan, also served on the Cleveland City Council. He too is active in the NLC. Today, we call him Your Honor, as he presently serves on the municipal court bench for the city of Cleveland. Joe, thank you for being a good brother to me. So So that's my family. Can you tell I'm a little proud? I tear up a little, right? That's what we do as Italians, emotional people. But now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my work in Cleveland. Like so many of you, my career has been dedicated to creating opportunity and to making the lives of my friends and the neighbors I serve better. That meant supporting infrastructure investments, like the Lakefront West project, a $100 million investment which connects Cleveland's west side neighborhoods to the Lake Erie shores, which had previously been cut off by a high-speed highway and a high-speed railroad. It meant working with developers to make sure that new developments in my district include mixed income and affordable housing units. We've built more than 1,000 units of permanent supportive housing for the homeless in Cleveland since I've been in office, including transforming the contaminated Eveready battery factory site into one of the largest housing developments, the largest housing development in the city of Cleveland. And it means supporting entrepreneurships and small businesses, like the Gordon Square Arts District in my neighborhood. It's where 90 new businesses have opened up since 2007, all local. And we've transformed this economically stagnant business district by applying inclusive redevelopment strategies that capitalize on unique character and culture and history of our area. The result is a vibrant arts district that maintains its character and the lifelong residents who live there without the gentrification that too often accompanies development. I'm very proud of rolling up my sleeves, getting right at the table and taking on big projects like this. We do it big in Cleveland. That's one thing about me. I don't shy away from a tough challenge. I think my colleagues can attest to that. My council president kids with me all the time, and sometimes I have to slow down a little. But we're getting it done, right? We go big in Cleveland. And I can hope there are lessons that I can share with each one of you about what we've done in my city, just as I look forward to continuing to learn from each and every one of you. Because what matters is that we can create opportunity. We can change the lives of the people in our communities. That's powerful. And that's a wonderful calling. But as you all know, some folks need a little more help than others. That's the definition of equity. Providing the tools and the resources so that every one of us can have what they need to be successful. Remember what my mother would tell me. She loved all of her children, but she just needed to love some more than others. Think about that when you go back home. There are people in the communities you serve who just need a little bit more than others. Opportunities as our nations grapple with becoming truly an equitable society. So let's look at the data. Income inequality is at the highest level since 1928, the year before the start of the Great Depression. And when viewed through a racial lens, the gap between white and African Americans and Latino incomes has not only persisted, but has grown. Hispanic households earn 70%, and Black households earn only 58% compared to what white households earn. And with those income gaps, it's so much harder to build wealth. Whites have about 10 times more wealth than Blacks or Hispanics. Even more alarming is that the wealth gap has more than tripled over the past 25 years, and it only appears to be growing. As an organization that is dedicated to building stronger cities, we cannot afford not to address these issues. I'm realistic, and I understand that no one government policy or initiative can solve these challenges. And too often, I hear from people who think there's, as my mayor will famously say, this is no panacea. This one issue is not going to solve this problem. Don't let that rhetoric to affect what you do back home. But by focusing on these issues together, by making connections with each other, and sharing the strategies that are working, and leveraging our unique local assets, I truly believe we can make a difference. I think I was doing a little too much celebrating last night. I apologize. Over the next 12 months, as I lead the National League of Cities, I have chosen to make economic mobility and opportunity the centerpiece of my presidency. NOC is creating a new initiative that will raise the visibility of local efforts that have the potential to increase economic mobility, expand economic opportunity, and reduce income inequalities in cities across the nation. I am honored to work with some amazing people at City Hall, and I want to specifically recognize which has motivated me to take on this issue this year. So today, I'm announcing that I am forming a task force on economic mobility and opportunity to bring together mayors and council members from across the country to provide leadership on these incredibly important issues. And I'm honored that Atlanta's Mayor Kasim Reed will chair this task force. He is truly a great mayor and the right guy to lead this task force. I want to recognize my own council colleague, Councilwoman Phyllis Cleveland, who will serve on that task force. She chairs our city's Workforce and Community Benefits Committee. It does an amazing job making sure that everyone has a seat at the table. This new initiative will shine a light on local efforts that will help people move up the economic ladder in cities across our nation. The ultimate goal of this initiative is to move us from talking about these vexing national problems to taking practical action steps as part of the nationwide response. All right, I know I'm getting a little preachy here. We will build and support a new team of champions who will be a strong local voice in the national debate on economic mobility and opportunity. And it's my hope that every person in this room can move the nation closer to a day when policymakers and the wealthy understand that the shared prosperity only serves to strengthen America's families and communities. Race and the need for diversity and inclusion will be the centerpiece of this conversation. NOC's Race, Equity, and Leadership Initiative, or REAL for short, provides us with an important racial equity lens. REAL is helping cities hold community conversations on race, on equity, across our nation. It is helping leaders understand that major contributors to the lack of economic mobility and prosperity facing minority communities today are daunting. But by addressing economic mobility and opportunity, that issue alone won't be as easy. But as you know, change is possible when it starts at the local level. That's where all the innovations happen. That's where the rubber hits the road. It's going to take hard work, but I warn you, I don't shy away from a tough challenge. Never have. Was that scrappy little kid who grew up on the Midwest side, was always ready to take on a good fight. And for us to succeed, we all have a role to play. And it starts by truly understanding diversity and inclusion, and why those two principles alone are so important to the building stronger communities. Diversity is accepting that each and every one of us, Black, white, Asian, or Latino, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or straight, Christian or Jewish, Muslim, or non-religious, that we all matter. And that we all have worth. And that we can all succeed this great nation. You know, diversity looks at bringing our past experiences with us. Like the story I told you about my family who immigrated to this country, helping us creating a richer experience because we have a lot to learn from people who are not like ourselves. Inclusion is identifying the strategies that make sure we are diverse, that no one is excluded for who they are. Local leaders, we have the power to make diversity and inclusion a part of every ordinance and every policy that we pass back home. But we have to be intentional, and we have to make it a priority. I have the faith that our cities and our nations can come together and make this happen. And I strongly believe that this change will come from the local level. But it's going to come from each and every one of us. So stand with me, because together we are stronger, and together we can make a difference. I want to thank you for giving me this amazing opportunity to lead this organization. And I want to let you know, I won't let you down. This is really important. Please work through this committee structure here at NLC. To you committee chairs of our councils and committees, you know who you are. We are going to make sure that this work is permeated in what we do as an organization, and that we take these policies and practices back home. Thank you for giving me